What should you do to correct a rear wheel skid? Not steer at all. Steer away from it. Steer into it. Apply your handbrake.
If your car skids and the rear wheels slide to the right, you need to steer into the skid, i.e. to the right, until the front and rear wheels are brought into line. Don't oversteer or you'll cause a skid in the opposite direction, and this will make the situation worse.
What does this sign mean? Bus station on the right. Contraflow bus lane. With flow bus lane. Give way to buses.
There will also be markings on the road surface to indicate the bus lane. You mustn't use this lane for parking or overtaking.
You're on a road that's only wide enough for one vehicle. A car is coming towards you. What should you do? Pull into a passing place on your right. Force the other driver to reverse. Pull into a passing place if your vehicle is wider. Pull into a passing place on your left.
Pull into the nearest passing place on the left if you meet another vehicle on a narrow road. If the nearest passing place is on the right, wait opposite it.
There's a bus lane on your left. The signs show no times of operation. What does this mean? The lane isn't in operation. The lane is only in operation at peak times. The lane is in operation 24 hours a day. The lane is only in operation in daylight hours.
Bus lane signs show the vehicles allowed to use the lane and also its times of operation. Where no times are shown, the bus lane is in operation 24 hours a day.
On what type of road surface may anti-lock brakes not work effectively? Dry, loose, firm, smooth.
Poor contact with the road surface could cause one or more of the tyres to lose grip on the road. This is more likely to happen when braking in poor weather conditions and when the road has a loose, slippery or uneven surface.
At an incident, a small child isn't breathing. What should you do to try and help? Find their parents and get permission to help. Open their airway and begin CPR. Put them in the recovery position and slap their back. Talk to them confidently until an ambulance arrives.
If a young child has stopped breathing, first check that their airway is open and then begin CPR. With a young child, you may only need to use one hand and you shouldn't press down as far as you would with an adult. Continue the procedure until the child is breathing again or until a medical professional takes over.
How can you reduce the environmental harm caused by your motor vehicle? Only use it for short journeys. Don't service it. Drive faster than normal. Keep engine revs low.
Engines that burn fossil fuels produce exhaust emissions that are harmful to health. The harder you make the engine work, the more emissions it will produce. Engines also use more fuel and produce higher levels of emissions when they're cold. Anything you can do to reduce your use of fossil fuels will help the environment.
You're on a busy main road and find that you're travelling in the wrong direction. What should you do? Turn into a side road on the right and reverse into the main road. Make a U-turn in the main road. Make a 3-point turn in the main road. Turn around in a side road.
Don't turn around in a busy street or reverse from a side road into a main road. Find a quiet side road and choose a place where you won't obstruct an entrance or exit. Look out for pedestrians and cyclists, as well as other traffic.
You're joining a motorway. Why is it important to make full use of the slip road? Because there is space available to turn around if you need to allow you direct access to the overtaking lanes, to build up a speed similar to traffic on the motorway, because you can continue on the hard shoulder.
Try to join the motorway without affecting the progress of the traffic already travelling on it. Always give way to traffic already on the motorway. At busy times, you may have to slow down to merge into slow-moving traffic.
You're driving along this road. What should you be prepared to do? Sound your horn and continue. Slow down and give way. Report the driver to the police. Squeeze through the gap.
Sometimes, large vehicles may need more space than other road users. If a vehicle needs more time and space to turn, be prepared to stop and wait.
You've just driven out of fog. What must you do now that visibility has improved? Switch off your fog lights. Keep your rear fog lights switched on. Keep your front fog lights switched on. Leave your fog lights switched on in case the fog returns.
You must turn off your fog lights if visibility is more than 100 meters, 328 feet. Be prepared for the fact that the fog may be patchy, and you may need to turn them on again if the fog returns.
What does this traffic sign mean? No overtaking allowed. Give priority to oncoming traffic. Two-way traffic. One-way traffic only.
Priority signs are normally shown where the road is narrow and there isn't enough room for two vehicles to pass. Examples are narrow bridges, roadworks, and where there's a width restriction. Make sure you know who has priority. Don't force your way through. Show courtesy and consideration to other road users.
How will a police officer in a patrol vehicle normally get you to stop? Flash the headlights, indicate left and point to the left. Wait until you stop, then approach you. Use the siren, overtake, cut in front and stop. Pull alongside you, use the siren and wave you to stop.
You must obey signals given by the police. If a police officer in a patrol vehicle wants you to pull over, they'll indicate this without causing danger to you or other traffic.
What does a sign with a brown background show? Tourist directions. Primary roads. Motorway routes. Minor roads.
Signs with a brown background give directions to places of interest. They're often seen on a motorway, directing you along the easiest route to the attraction.
What should you do as you approach this overhead bridge? Move out to the centre of the road before going through. Find another route. This one is only for high vehicles. Be prepared to give way to large vehicles in the middle of the road. Move across to the right-hand side before going through.
Oncoming large vehicles may need to move to the middle of the road to pass safely under the bridge. There won't be enough room for you to continue, so you should be ready to stop and wait.
What colour are the reflective studs between a motorway and its slip road? Amber, white, green, red.
The studs between the carriageway and the hard shoulder are normally red. These change to green where there's a slip road, helping you to identify slip roads when visibility is poor or when it's dark.
What does the term blind spot mean? An area covered by your right-hand mirror. An area not covered by your headlights. An area covered by your left-hand mirror. An area not visible to the driver.
Modern vehicles provide the driver with a good view of both the road ahead and behind, using well-positioned mirrors. However, the mirrors can't see every angle of the scene behind and to the sides of the vehicle. This is why it's essential that you know when and how to check your blind spots, so that you're aware of any hidden hazards.
You're in a one-way street and want to turn right. There are 2 lanes. Where should you position your vehicle? In the right-hand lane. In the left-hand lane. In either lane, depending on the traffic. Just left of the centre line.
When you're in a one-way street and want to turn right, you should take up a position in the right-hand lane. This will allow other road users not wishing to turn to pass on the left. Indicate your intention and take up the correct position in good time.
What safeguard could you take against fire risk to your vehicle? Keep water levels above maximum. Check out any strong smell of fuel. Avoid driving with a full tank of fuel. Use fuel additives.
The fuel in your vehicle can be a dangerous fire hazard. If you smell fuel, check out where it's coming from. Never use a naked flame near the vehicle if you can smell fuel. Smoke when refueling your vehicle.
What does this sign mean? New speed limit 20 miles per hour. No vehicles over 30 tonnes. Minimum speed limit 30 miles per hour. End of 20 miles per hour zone.
Where you see this sign, the 20 miles per hour restriction ends. Check all around for possible hazards and only increase your speed if it's safe to do so.
What's the main hazard the driver of the red car, arrowed, should be aware of? Glare from the sun may affect the driver's vision. The black car may stop suddenly. The bus may move out into the road. Oncoming vehicles will assume the driver is turning right.
If you can do so safely, give way to buses signalling to move off at bus stops. Try to anticipate the actions of other road users around you. The driver of the red car should be prepared for the bus pulling out. As you approach a bus stop, look to see how many passengers are waiting to board. If the last one has just got on, the bus is likely to move off.
How will a roof rack affect your car's performance? There will be less wind noise. The engine will use more oil. The car will accelerate faster. Fuel consumption will increase.
A roof rack increases your car's wind resistance. This will cause an increase in fuel consumption, so you should remove it when it isn't being used. An aerodynamically designed roof rack or box will help reduce wind resistance to a minimum, but the rack or box should still be removed when it isn't in use.
What's the most important reason for having a properly adjusted head restraint? To make you more comfortable. To help you avoid neck injury. To help you relax. To help you maintain your driving position.
In a collision, rapid deceleration will violently throw vehicle occupants forward and then backwards as the vehicle stops. Seatbelts and airbags protect occupants against the forward movement. Head restraints should be adjusted so they give maximum protection to the head and neck during the backward movement.
After refueling your vehicle, what should you do to avoid spillage? Check that your tank is only 3/4 full. Check that you've used a locking filler cap. Check that your fuel gauge is working. Check that your filler cap is securely fastened.
When learning to drive, it's a good idea to practice filling your car with fuel. Ask your instructor if you can use a petrol station and fill the fuel tank yourself. You need to know where the filler cap is on the car you're driving, so you know which side of the pump to park at. Take care not to overfill the tank, and make sure you secure the filler cap correctly, so that no fuel leaks onto the road while you're driving.
What do these motorway signs show? They're countdown markers to a bridge. They're distance markers to the next telephone. They're countdown markers to the next exit. They warn of a police control ahead.
The exit from a motorway is indicated by countdown markers. These are positioned 90 metres, 100 yards apart, the first being 270 metres, 300 yards from the start of the slip road. Move into the left-hand lane well before you reach the start of the slip road.
You see this signal overhead on the motorway. What does it mean? Leave the motorway at the next exit. All vehicles use the hard shoulder. Sharp bend to the left ahead. Stop. All lanes ahead closed.
You'll see this sign if there has been an incident ahead and the motorway is closed. You must obey the sign. Make sure that you prepare to leave in good time. Don't cause drivers to take avoiding action by cutting in at the last moment.
Which vehicle will use a blue flashing beacon? Motorway maintenance. Bomb disposal. Snowplow. Breakdown recovery.
Emergency vehicles use blue flashing lights. If you see or hear one, move out of its way as soon as it's safe and legal to do so.
On which occasion should you inflate your tyres to more than their normal pressure? When the roads are slippery. When the vehicle is fitted with anti-lock brakes. When the tyre tread is worn below 2 millimetres. When carrying a heavy load.
Check the vehicle handbook. This should give you guidance on the correct tyre pressures for your vehicle and when you may need to adjust them. If you're carrying a heavy load, you may need to adjust the headlights as well. Most cars have a switch on the dashboard to do this.
Which vehicle might have to take a different course from normal at roundabouts? Sports car. Van. Estate car. Long vehicle.
A long vehicle may have to straddle lanes, either on or approaching a roundabout, so that the rear wheels don't hit the curb. If you're following a long vehicle, stay well back and give it plenty of room.
What must you have when you apply to renew your vehicle tax? Valid insurance. The vehicle's chassis number. The handbook. A valid driving licence.
You can renew your vehicle tax online, at post offices and vehicle registration offices, or by phone. When applying, make sure you have all the relevant valid documents, including a valid MOT test certificate where applicable.
How would age affect an elderly person's driving ability? They won't be able to obtain car insurance. They'll need glasses to read road signs. They'll take longer to react to hazards. They won't signal at junctions.
Be tolerant of older drivers. They may take longer to react to a hazard, and they may be hesitant in some situations. For example, at a junction.
What's the purpose of a catalytic converter? To reduce fuel consumption, to reduce the risk of fire, to reduce harmful exhaust gases, to reduce engine wear.
Catalytic converters reduce a large percentage of harmful exhaust emissions. They work more efficiently when the engine has reached its normal working temperature.
What should you do as you approach this lorry? Slow down and be prepared to wait. Make the lorry wait for you. Flash your lights at the lorry. Move to the right-hand side of the road.
When turning, long vehicles need much more room on the road than other vehicles. At junctions, they may take up the whole of the road space, so be patient and allow them the room they need.
You're checking your trailer tyres. What's the legal minimum tread depth over the central 3/4 of its breadth? 1 millimetre, 1.6 millimetres, 2 millimetres, 2.6 millimetres.
Trailers and caravans may be left in storage over the winter months, and tyres can deteriorate. It's important to check their tread depth and also their pressures and general condition. The legal tread depth of 1.6 millimetres applies to the central 3/4 of a tyre's breadth over its entire circumference.
A slow-moving lorry showing this sign is travelling in the middle lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you pass it? Cautiously approach the lorry, then pass on either side. Don't pass the lorry and leave the motorway at the next exit. Use the right-hand lane and pass the lorry normally. Approach with care and pass on the left of the lorry.
This sign is found on slow-moving or stationary works vehicles. If you wish to overtake, do so on the left, as indicated. Be aware that there might be workmen in the area.
You're driving along a country road. You see this sign. What should you do after dealing safely with the hazard? Check your tyre pressures. Switch on your hazard warning lights. Accelerate briskly. Test your brakes.
If your brakes have been thoroughly soaked, you should check that they're working properly before you build up speed again. Before you do this, remember to check your mirrors and consider what's behind you.
What does this signal from a police officer mean to oncoming traffic? Go ahead. Stop. Turn left. Turn right.
Police officers may need to direct traffic, for example, at a junction where the traffic lights have broken down. Check your copy of the highway code for the signals that they use.
In very hot weather, the road surface can become soft. What will this affect? The suspension, the exhaust emissions, the fuel consumption, the tyre grip.
If the road surface becomes very hot, it can soften. Tyres are unable to grip a soft surface as well as they can a firm, dry one. Take care when cornering and braking.
Your vehicle breaks down on the hard shoulder of a motorway. You need to use your mobile phone to call for help. What should you do? Stand at the rear of the vehicle while making the call. Phone a friend and ask them to come and collect you. Open the bonnet to help the emergency services know you've broken down. Check your location from the marker posts on the left.
You should use an emergency telephone when you break down on the motorway. Only use your mobile if this isn't possible. The emergency services need to know your exact location so they can reach you as quickly as possible. Look for a number on the nearest marker post beside the hard shoulder. Give this number when you call the emergency services.
You're driving on this dual carriageway. Why may you need to slow down? There's a broken white line in the centre. There are solid white lines on either side. There are roadworks ahead of you. There are no footpaths.
Look well ahead and read any road signs as you drive. They're there to inform you of what's ahead. In this case, you may need to slow down and change direction. Check your mirrors so you know what's happening around you before you change speed or direction.
You're at the front of a queue of traffic waiting to turn right into a side road. Why is it important to check your right mirror just before turning? To look for pedestrians about to cross. To check for overtaking vehicles. To make sure the side road is clear. To check for emerging traffic.
A motorcyclist could be riding along the outside of the queue. Always check your mirror before turning, as situations behind you can change in the time you've been waiting to turn.
A tanker is involved in a collision. Which sign shows that it's carrying dangerous goods?
There will be an orange label on the side and rear of the tanker. Look at this carefully and report what it says when you phone the emergency services. Details of hazard warning plates are given in the highway code.
What would suggest you're driving on ice? There's less wind noise. There's less tyre noise. There's less transmission noise. There's less engine noise.
Drive extremely carefully when the roads are icy. When travelling on ice, tyres make virtually no noise and the steering feels light and unresponsive. In icy conditions, be very gentle when braking, accelerating and steering.
Who's especially in danger of not being seen as you reverse your car? Motorcyclists, car drivers, cyclists, children.
It may not be possible to see a small child through the rear windscreen of your vehicle. Be aware of this before you reverse. If there are children about, get out and check that it's clear before reversing.
You're driving on a road that has a cycle lane. The lane is marked by a broken white line. What does this mean? You shouldn't drive in the lane unless it's unavoidable. There's a reduced speed limit for motor vehicles using the lane. Cyclists can travel in both directions in that lane. The lane must be used by motorcyclists in heavy traffic.
Cycle lanes are marked with either a solid or a broken white line. If the line is solid, you should check the times of operation shown on the signs and not drive or park in the lane during those times. If the line is broken, you shouldn't drive or park in the lane unless it's unavoidable.
What should you do before stopping? Sound the horn. Use the mirrors. Select a higher gear. Flash the headlights.
Before pulling up, check the mirrors to see what's happening behind you. Also assess what's ahead and make sure you give the correct signal if it will help other road users.
What should you do when passing sheep on a road? Briefly sound your horn. Go very slowly. Pass quickly but quietly. Herd them to the side of the road.
Slow down and be ready to stop if you see animals in the road ahead. Animals are easily frightened by noise and vehicles passing too close to them. Stop if signaled to do so by the person in charge.
Which is the most vulnerable road user at road junctions? Car driver, tractor driver, lorry driver, motorcyclist.
Pedestrians and riders on two wheels can be harder to see than other road users. Make sure you look for them, especially at junctions. Effective observation, coupled with appropriate action, can save lives.
You're on a country road. What should you expect to see coming towards you on your side of the road? Motorcycles, bicycles, pedestrians, horse riders.
On a quiet country road, always be aware that there may be a hazard just around the next bend, such as a slow-moving vehicle or pedestrians. Pedestrians are advised to walk on the right-hand side of the road if there's no pavement, so they may be walking towards you on your side of the road.
Why will a motorcyclist look round over their right shoulder just before turning right? To listen for following traffic. Motorcycles don't have mirrors. It helps them balance as they turn. To check for traffic in their blind area.
When you see a motorcyclist take a glance over their shoulder, they're probably about to change direction. Recognizing a clue like this helps you to anticipate their next action. This can improve road safety for you and others.